Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 170, which is Kill Bill Volume 1, which is an action crime thriller film from 2003. This has an 8.1 on 950,290 votes. The mystery line that we are revealing today is the one from Rebecca. And the line was, "Do you like scary movies?" And nobody guessed it, which I'm slightly disappointed in. Because I love scary movies, especially that one. That is from Scream. So if you didn't know that, then shame on you. So we have dark blue, orange, light blue, red, and green.
Let's go with green.
Alright, so the line is, "What he did to Shakespeare, we are now doing to Poland." So make sure you take your guess on that one. We will reveal it in Sunrise. Alright, so the spoiler-free synopsis. A former assassin, known simply as the Bride, wakes up from a coma 4 years after her jealous ex-lover Bill attempts to murder her on her wedding day. Fueled by an insatiable desire for revenge, she vows to get even with every person who contributed to the loss of her unborn child, her entire wedding party, and 4 years of her life. After devising a hit list, the bride sets off on her quest, enduring unspeakable injury and unscrupulous enemies.
Yeah.
That was really long.
That was a long one. So this is directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
The first one on our list of his. We'll see him a couple more times, at least 4 more times if I counted right. With Inglourious Bastards at number 95, Reservoir Dogs at 75, Django Unchained at number 61. And this stars Uma Thurman.
Yep.
I'm naming him even though you don't really see him. His voice is in there a lot. David Carradine.
Yep.
And Lucy Liu.
Yes. Alright, so their ratings for this. On IMDb, 29.8% of users that rated this rated it at an 8. On Metacritic, it has a 69%. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 85% on 235 critical reviews. 2 of the fresh. Todd McCarthy, a strange, fun, and densely textured work that gets better as it goes along.
Okay.
Yeah. If you mean, like, the fights, yeah.
Yeah,
like, the last fight is, like, the best fight.
Well, yeah. Save the best for last.
Yep. The next one is by Anonymous, because the person no longer uses Rotten Tomatoes, so their name was taken off. It's all bang bang, no kiss kiss, but this is still bravura filmmaking from a prodigious talent, and Thurman may yet prove its saving grace. She did a good job.
I like Uma Thurman, so...
Yeah. She did a good job. So, 2 Rotten. Jonathan Rosenbaum. Even more gory and adolescent than its models, which explains both the fun and the unpleasantness of this globe-trotting romp.
Okay.
Paul Burns. 6 years, and this is all that Quentin Tarantino can come up with.
Wow. That's not very nice, now is it?
No, but it's funny.
It is funny, I'll say that.
That's why I picked that one, it was funny. So the consensus. Kill Bill is admittedly little more than a stylish revenge thriller, albeit one that benefits from a wildly inventive surfeit style. Or surfeit of style. Sorry.
I could agree with that more or less, yeah.
Yeah. So the money for this one. The budget was $30 million. Opening weekend, it made $22,200,000. Domestically, $70,099,045. Internationally, $110,800,000 for a worldwide total of $180,899,045. So we're going to go on to the awards. So this was not nominated, nor did it win any Oscars, but it did have 28 other wins and 101 other nominations. So we're going to talk about the Golden Globes and the BAFTAs, because it was nominated for a few of those. So, the Golden Globes, it was nominated for Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, Uma Thurman. And then the BAFTA Awards. Anthony Asquith Award for Film Music. RZA was nominated for that, but did not win. And then the other nominees for the BAFTA Awards: Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role, Uma Thurman. Best Editing, Sally Menke. Best Sound, and then Best Achievements in Special Visual Effects. I'm curious who, for those, beat her. For the Golden Globes, Charlize Theron won for Monster over Uma Thurman. But the other nominees were Cate Blanchett, Nicole Kidman, Evan Rachel Wood, and Scarlett Johansson. So some really good actresses. And then for the BAFTAs. So in that one, the nominees were Scarlett Johansson, Anne Reid, Scarlett Johansson again for a different movie, Naomi Watts, and then Uma Thurman. And Scarlett Johansson won it for Lost in Translation.
Oh, okay. I know that movie.
Yeah. And then the music award went to Cold Mountain. But yeah, that's all the awards. It did win 28, and if you can usually just guess what the awards it was that it won based on the major ones that it lost. So, initial thoughts.
So I don't remember the first time I watched it. It's been a while. I rewatched it again this time, and I was thinking, I'm like, this is like a really crazy, wacky, like, knockoff of Kung Fu movies. That's exactly that's what he was going for. I knew. And I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. It was Logan's first time ever watching the whole thing through. And he just laughed, like, pretty much the entire time. So, I don't know if that's what Tarantino was going for, that you're going to be laughing your ass off most of the time. I don't know. But, overall, I liked the movie. Yeah, I like Uma Thurman. Lucy Liu, she's great. It's like, yeah, I think it's alright. I will admit, between Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2, I like Volume 2 better, but that's me.
You're one of very few. Not most people like Volume 1 better than Volume 2.
Yeah, and I did it. I'll admit that. Wholeheartedly. But of course, I'm the weird person with the Star Wars movies of the original trilogy. My favorite is Return of the Jedi. And most people will be like, what? You don't like Empire? I'm like, it's alright. So, I'm the weird person that likes the random movie that not everyone expects to like, Yeah. Overall, I did like it. Yeah.
So I realized that I hadn't actually seen this all the way through. I had only seen that last fight. The big, huge last fight. And then when I was actually watching it this time, I was like, why do I not know the beginning of this movie? So I was like, because I'd never seen the beginning of the movie. I've only ever watched the end of it. But I did enjoy it a lot. I mean, for me, it was just one of those kind of crazy in-your-face action movies. Like, there's not much of a plot in this. That's what the second one was for, is to develop the plot, that the first one is just like, whatever.
It's probably why I liked it better.
It's true. There's, like, not... Like, there is a little bit of a plot in this one, but it's not really much.
No.
So, and then the second one is where the plot is at. And this is like one of those that it's just like a turn your brain off, watch some people get killed movie.
I would agree with that.
And I really like those a lot of the time because I'm just like, I don't always want to analyze everything. I don't always want to have to think when I watch my movies. So this is one that I'm just like, yep, I enjoyed this one. So I did like seeing it all the way through. I thought it was good. But I realized that there's not a plot.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. We start off with, like, really heavy breathing.
Yeah. You're like, what the hell's going on?
I'm like, somebody either got their ass beat or is having sex, because it's either one of those. It's a lot of heavy breathing right there. The first part of the movie starts out in black and white, which is why I realized I had never seen the beginning. It's because I was like, I don't remember this movie being in black and white the whole way through. Because there are times when it goes to black and white, but I was just like, I don't remember this.
Yeah.
But we see that someone got beat up real bad. And when I was first looking at it, I was like, I don't recognize that person. Like, who is that? And then you finally realize, oh, it's Uma Thurman.
Yeah. She's kind of the star of the movie, so.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I had only seen the last fight, so I was like, I have no idea what's going on right now. But she's, like, talking to Bill. He comes over, and he's, kind of cleans off her face and is saying, you know, you think I'm this, that, and the other, but really I'm not.
He's kind of, like, taunting her in a way.
Yeah, and, like, wiping all the blood off of her and stuff. And then he shoots her in the head.
He shoots her after she tells him that the baby's his.
Yeah, that's right.
Because she's pregnant.
Yeah, but you can't see that because you only see her face.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's the opening. And then we start off with this movie's got chapters. So chapter 1 is number 2. And you can, at the end of this chapter, you can see why it's called number 2. But I'm just going to say it. It's because this is the second person she kills on her hit list that we see. Called Death List 5, which is her hit list. But, so she's in Pasadena, California, and she drives up in this yellow truck. And she goes and knocks the doorbell, or rings the doorbell, knocks on the door, or something like that. And we get a little flashback of her getting beat up, and we get to see one of the attackers, which is this one that she's going to talk to right now, Vernita Green.
Yeah.
And I think her code name was Copperhead, because she was like part of the
I think that's right.
Viper gang. I think she was Copperhead.
Yeah.
And so, as soon as Copperhead opens the door, Uma Thurman, she was in that same little gang, and her nickname in that was Black Mamba. Which, anytime I hear that, all I can think of is Kobe.
Yeah, that was my first
nickname.
thought, too, and I was like, aw.
Yeah, I was like, that's sad. Very sad. But as soon as Copperhead opens the door, Uma Thurman just starts, like, beating the shit out of her.
It's like this big old fight sequence in this house.
Yeah. And there's some good choreography in these fights. Like, they did a really good job. But so they're fighting and everything, and then the school bus pops up outside, or like pulls up outside, and doesn't pop up. It's not a magic school bus.
Are you sure it's not the magic school bus?
No, I saw it drive up, so it's not. So they stop the fighting because this little girl walks up to the house and they're like both hiding these knives behind their backs and stuff.
And the little girl just asks, she's like, why is everything broken up? And like looking around and the place is trashed.
Yeah. And mom is like, her mom is Copperhead, and she's like, oh, because the dog had a fit or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
the dog got out, trashed everything. It's like, okay, sure.
Yeah. And so little girl goes upstairs, and this is where we find out that Uma Thurman didn't, like, her baby died, or she thinks she died, because she asks the little girl how old she is, and she says 4. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either. I was like, that's like a 2nd, 3rd grader. Let's not
I was
lie
like, that
here.
kid's like 7, maybe 8. Because, like, she's the same size as some of these 7 and 8-year-olds at YMCA. So, don't believe that.
I was
But
like,
most
that's
of the time,
bullshit.
kids are older in movies than they actually are supposed to be.
Oh, I know.
Just because it's hard to work with the little ones. Which we know from experience. But Uma Thurman is like, oh, my daughter would have been 4 years old had she lived, or something like that. And then, so a little girl goes upstairs, and her mom is like talking to Uma Thurman, and Uma Thurman's like, well, I wasn't gonna kill you in front of your daughter, but we're gonna have to fight later.
And so, is it her name's Vernita?
Yeah.
Right? So she's like, well, we can go fight, like at late at night. Because, why not?
Yeah. But she, like, throws this box of cereal. Or no, she throws a coffee mug at her. And then lifts up the box of cereal and, like, shoots at Uma Thurman through the cereal box. But Uma Thurman throws a knife at her and kills her. Because she missed.
It's like, whoops, you missed. You better have better aim than that.
Yeah. And then the kid walks back in the kitchen. Because, of course, she heard it. It's kind of hard not to hear that. So Uma Thurman apologizes, and she's like, well, your mom had it coming, so sorry.
And she's like, if you want to get revenge, I'll be waiting for you later when you're older.
I'm just like, what? So Uma Thurman goes back out. She leaves. She goes to her pickup truck, and we see her cross Vernita's name off of the list. And that's where we learn about the death list 5, which is her hit list, the 5 people she wants to kill. And we also learn about why this chapter is called number 2.
Because she had crossed off that number 1 name already.
Yep. So the next chapter is chapter 2, The Blood-Splattered Bride.
Yes, and it says 4 years, 6 months earlier.
Yeah, and they're in El Paso at a little wedding chapel, and the police are investigating this big, huge, like, mass murder. There's like 9 people dead or something like that. It was like the bride, the groom, the preacher and his wife, some of the guests, and the piano player are all dead. And so sheriff's like walking around looking at all the bodies and everything, and he stops and is like looking at the bride, and he is asking for her name, if they know her name. And the guy comes up, he's like, well, I have this wedding certificate here, or wedding license or whatever, and the name is Arlene Machiavelli. And he's like, oh, that's fake. And so he, like, leans down a little bit closer, and she spits in his face. But she's in a coma, so she doesn't know she did it, but she, like, spits in his face. And so they rush her to the hospital because she's still alive. And then we see later, I don't remember what her name is, but the lady with the eye patch.
Her name is Elle.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's like, yeah. Her name's Elle.
So Elle comes, and she is, like, heading through the hospital, and then we get kind of, like, this split screen. One side, we see Uma Thurman sleeping. Well, she's in her coma, so. In her coma, and then we see the other woman, like, getting dressed as a nurse. Like, buttoning up her nurse's outfit and everything. And getting this needle ready. And then she's heading over to Uma Thurman's room. And she's heading in there. And she's, like, talking to her, telling her, you know, this is a mercy. Like, it's more than any of us ever get. So, you should be happy. And right as soon as she's about to, like, stick the needle in, she gets a phone call from Bill.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, you're not gonna change the plans.
Yeah. And so... Oh, and her code name was California Mountain Snake. That was her code name. But so she's all pissed off because Bill doesn't want her to kill Uma Thurman. And so she leaves because that's what she was supposed to do. And that was like right after she had been taken to the hospital. Because now it's 4 years later again. And Uma Thurman is still in her coma. And what was it? Some sort of bug or something?
It's a mosquito.
Okay, I see. Something bites her. And
yeah,
so she sits up. Like, all of a sudden sits up and everything. And we see the flashback with the gun pointing at her. And, like, the slow-mo bullet coming out. And I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool shot. I liked that shot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And she's, like, filling her head.
Yeah. There's, like, a metallic, or, like, the big metal plate in her head where she got shot.
It's like, so she did get shot in the head, so, I mean, it's kind of necessary.
Yeah. And then she notices that she's not pregnant anymore.
And she's like, oh, no, thinking probably, like, the baby's dead or something, you know.
Yeah, she doesn't know that, she doesn't know what happened. And so she hears some footsteps, and she, lays back down and pretends to be asleep. And we get an orderly, so I guess one of the nurses, or, like, one of the security people or something like that. He comes in, and he's got this guy with him who has come there to have sex with this woman in a coma.
Because I guess that's, for some people, ugh. That's what I was like, ugh. Even Logan, when he watched, he's like, ew. Like, yeah, exactly.
My mind is just like, how many times has he gotten away with this?
That's what I'm wondering, too.
But so, he tells the orderly guy, he tells the other guy that it's, $75 and you can't, like, leave any marks, you can't punch her in the face, none of that. And he's like, oh, and sometimes she's a little bit dry, so here's this Vaseline. And it's, like, disgusting.
Ugh. Yeah, stuff. That part I was like, ew.
Yeah. So the orderly leaves. He's like, you've got 20 minutes or something like that. And so dude climbs on top of her and he's like getting ready to kiss her, but she bites his tongue or his lip, one of the two. And he just like starts gushing blood. And we don't really know if he's dead or unconscious, but he's on the floor. And Uma Thurman, like, tries to get up, but, you know, she hasn't walked in 4 years, so her legs don't work.
I mean, they haven't been used in 4 years. It's, what's it called?
I don't know.
I know the name of it, I just can't think of it.
But so she, gets the knife or I guess trucker dude had a knife in his pocket. So she gets that and, like, crawls over behind the door because she hears the orderly guy coming, and she waits for him to come in, and he sees the bed is empty and the dude down there either dead or dying because he's bleeding so much. And then he, like, kind of halfway looks down, but by that time she slashed his Achilles heel.
And I was like, oh.
The tendon.
I was like, that was a nice shot. I'll admit that.
I was like, every time that I see that type of injury, because it's pretty common in horror movies as well. Every time I see it, I just, like, want to grab my feet and just, like, hold them because it hurts. Like, I've never had that torn or pulled or anything like that, but I'm just like, I already know how much that hurts, and I haven't even done it.
You're like, ow.
Yeah. But so she's like asking him, where's Bill? Where's Bill? And he's like, I don't know. And she keeps slamming his head in the door. And then she, like, has this little bit of a flashback to him saying, my name is Buck and I'm here to fuck. And so she repeatedly slams his head in the door until he is dead. So. And then she takes his keys and heads out. And she sees the little thing on the keys that says Pussy Wagon. And so she found herself a wheelchair, and she's, like, rolling through the parking lot. And she finds his truck because it says Pussy Wagon on the back. And so she gets herself up into the truck and starts willing herself to move her feet. And
we get toes first.
Of course, you know, Quentin Tarantino has a foot fetish, so...
He does. I'm like, it's weird.
Every movie. Every single one.
Every single one of them. There's got to be at least bare feet somewhere.
Yeah, so...
I remember the word now. Atrophy.
Oh, her leg's not working?
Yes.
Gotcha. And then that's pretty much the end of chapter 2. So, chapter 3 is the origins of O-Ren Ishii. And I really liked the change of pace here. Like, the anime style of animation. That. I really liked it. And so we get to see how O-Ren became an assassin. And we find out O-Ren, her code name, was Cottonmouth. And so she was 9 years old when people came to murder her parents. And she was born in Japan because her dad was an American military officer and her mom was Japanese. And so they met in Japan, and she was born in Japan. And so her father was, like, trying to fight off some henchman of some gang in Japan or something like that, but he ended up getting killed. And the leader of the gang, Matsumoto, murdered O-Ren's mother as well.
She was hiding under the bed the entire time.
Yeah, and he, like, barely missed her. Like, knife through mom and almost got her in the face, but, like, missed by an inch or something like that. But so she survives and found out that Matsumoto was a pedophile. So she goes to him at age 11, taking advantage of the pedophileness. But instead of giving him what she wants, she kills him. And then we see that she ends up becoming one of the greatest assassins in the world.
By age 20.
Yeah. And then it jumps back to Uma Thurman, and 13 hours later, she has now gotten her legs to work.
And she's able to drive it away, and so she plans to go to Okinawa.
Yep. Because that's where because she knows that O-Ren is in Japan, and she's got someone she wants to meet in Okinawa, which is Chapter 4, The Man from Okinawa. So she gets there and she gets to this, like, little sushi bar and everything. And there's some, like, back and forth between her and the Japanese sushi bar owner guy. And then there's some back and forth between him and his, like, friend or whatever. And then he's finally like, okay, so why'd you come to Japan? Like, why are you here? And she's like, well, I'm looking for a man. He's like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, I've never met him. He's like, oh. And then she says, his name, Hattori Hanzo?
Yeah.
And she's like, she needs some Japanese steel to kill vermin. He's like, those must be some big rats.
He's like, oh. And like, you learn that's actually him.
Yeah. We find out that he is Mr. Hanzo. And his steel that she's talking about is katanas, which are Japanese samurai swords.
He shows her upstairs, and he shows her there's all these swords.
Yeah.
And he's like, I stopped making them. He's like, they're just for, display and everything. And, because he made a blood oath that he would never do it again. But then she tells him that she wants a sword because the one thing that she wants to get rid of is a former student of his.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll make you a sword.
And he writes on the glass, Bill.
Yep.
And he's like, I'll do it. You can stay here for a month while I work on this.
Yep, he suggests using that time to train. So, he's working on the sword and she's training, but we don't see that.
No.
We just see the month later when he's, like, looking at the sword and everything. But he's, like, looking at it, examining it, making sure it's, like, in good shape and stuff. And he's like, this is the best sword I've ever made.
He's like, it's so beautiful.
Yep. And he's like, yes, I've broken my pact, but I'm okay with it because you're going to go kill Bill, so it's okay.
They're like, it's fine. It balances out.
Yeah. So that's the end of that one. It's pretty short. So next it's the last chapter, at least in this one.
Yes.
And this is chapter 5, Showdown at the House of Blue Leaves. And to me, it seems kind of like a wedding venue, almost, or like a restaurant or something. Like, it seems like it's a restaurant and could be used as a wedding venue, because there's, like, this dance floor, and there's a stage for a band, and then there's,
it could
like,
be
some
both.
other little rooms. But I'm just, like, seeing the outside, like, at the end of the fight, we see the outside, and, the outside looks, like, really pretty for outside weddings and stuff, so I was like, that's probably a wedding venue and stuff, and all these people there are wedding guests or whatever. But so, we see Oren, and this time it's not in the anime format, it's just regular. And we get introduced to her and, like, all her henchmen and everything, because we learn that she was just elected head of council of all the Yakuza bosses, so, like, all the mob bosses in Japan, she's the head of all of them. And one of them is not very happy about it, because she's Chinese, Japanese, American. Like, he's mad because she's not straight up Japanese. And so she cuts his head off.
I love that part.
She's just like, well, you don't like me? Too bad.
And she's like, I'll collect the rest of your heads. I'm like,
Yeah, she's
oh,
like threatening them.
I was like, oh my god. And she's like, I'm going to say this in English so you know it's serious.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh
She
shit.
goes on, like, this whole rant and everything. And then we get introduced to her people. One of them is a French-Japanese lawyer named Sophie Fatale.
I just wrote Sophie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is Sophie. I know that. I just don't know how to say her last name. And then the next one is... Sophie was another one of Bill's trainees, I guess. Somebody that Bill trained. The next one is her teenage bodyguard. She's 17 years old. Her name is Go-Go. The next one is Johnny Moe.
Yeah.
And he is the head of, like, all of her men. Which her group of men, her, like, little soldier people, are called the Crazy 88. So, we see that Uma Thurman has flown from Okinawa to Tokyo. And we get to see the classic yellow leather suit with the helmet and the yellow motorcycle and everything. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Chapter 5 is, like, all I've seen of this movie before.
I mean, it's probably the most famous part of it, I'll say that.
It is. Because I remember all of this. I just never had seen any of the rest of it. But so, we see Uma Thurman riding around. She's following Oren's motorcade when they're heading for that little restaurant that I was talking about.
Yes.
And, she spots Sophie in one of the cars and has a little flashback to Sophie talking on her cell phone while Uma Thurman's getting beat the crap out of.
Yeah.
She's talking on her phone. And I guess that kind of... Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, jumbles Uma Thurman's, like, brain or whatever. And so she kind of loses them for a minute. So we see Oren and everybody coming into the restaurant. And they're taken upstairs by the owners, who are, like, super nervous. And then at the bar, we see Uma Thurman sitting there, and she's just having a drink, watching as everybody came in.
She's, like, waiting. Patiently waiting. She's like, oh, she's here.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah. So Oren and her little gang are upstairs having a good old time, but Oren kind of senses something. So she throws this little dart through the sliding wall thing, like the door, to get in and out of that little room. But she misses, because Uma Thurman was standing right outside, but she missed. So it lodges into this little beam across the way. And so Go-Go comes out and she's like looking around and she doesn't see anybody. But up on the ceiling in her Spider-Man move, somehow she managed to get up there like Spider-Man. And Uma Thurman's just hanging on the ceiling.
You know, classic hiding on the ceiling thing, you know.
Yeah, because that's where I think to hide as well, you know. Just go hide on the ceiling.
You know, you're that skilled.
When I'm hiding from Go-Go, the assassin, just hide on the ceiling. But so, Go-Go doesn't see anybody, so she goes back in. And so, Uma Thurman goes to the bathroom. And she's, like, hiding in there and changing into... Or taking off her riding jacket. So she's just wearing the leather yellow jumpsuit thing.
Yeah, and she sees Sophie come into the bathroom.
Yep. And so she gets Sophie and takes her out, and she starts yelling for Oren. And so everybody comes out, and they're standing on the balcony. And so now that she's got their attention, Oren and all her people, she cuts off one of Sophie's arm.
And the blood just spurts out like crazy. And I started laughing.
Yeah.
Because it was comical. It was.
Yeah. And I'm just like, this is where the bloodbath begins. Like, as soon as you cut Sophie's arm off, it's just like bloodbath. And so, first, Oren sends all her guys out.
And there's that huge old fight. Like, she just takes him out. Like, it's not a big deal to her.
Yep. So, then she's taken out, like, I think it's like 8 of them or something like that. And so, Go-Go's been waiting. So, Go-Go goes down there, and she's got, like, this ball and chain thing that she's whooping Uma Thurman's butt for the most part. And then Uma Thurman gets a few good strikes in and stuff.
I like how the ball, like, it, like, part, like, a knives come out of it, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked that. I was like, that's such an awesome weapon. I don't know what that thing is called, but I like it.
It's a good distance one, because you can't get close.
Yeah. And then, so she's fighting with a knife out on the little ball, and she gets Uma Thurman a couple good times, but then Uma Thurman whacks her with a table leg that has nails sticking out of it right in the head, so...
Well, she had her around the neck with the chain.
Yeah. And she manages to get the little leg. So no more go-go.
Yeah.
Oren's, like, yelling down at Uma Thurman, telling her, you know what? You're not done. You got off a little easy, so here they come. And, like, tons more of Oren's henchmen come in. And we get another big, huge bloodbath.
I wrote down what was going on. It turns into black and white, and she's, like, cutting off limbs, pulling eyeballs out, throwing axes, cutting off heads, slicing people in two. I mean, she used 2 swords at one point.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is awesome. She got a hold
of somebody's. Yeah, I loved this end fight. It's so good. And so she gets done cutting everybody down, and she's like, those of you that have the ability to leave, go ahead. And you gotta leave your severed limbs here. Except for Sophie. Sophie can't. Sophie has to stay. And, so then Oren has headed outside. So Bride, Uma Thurman, she follows her. And they have this really awesome, like, really well choreographed fight outside. And it's looking like maybe that Oren's gonna win. And she's like, oh, your sword. Like, she's doubting who made it.
She doesn't believe Hanzo made it.
Yeah, giving a hard time. But so, then of course, Uma Thurman chops off the top of her head. Oren's head.
As, like, just, like, scalped it, pretty much.
Yeah. And, like, Oren's last, like, what's it called? Words, I guess, is, well, I guess that really is Hanzo's sword. And then we see Uma Thurman crossing Oren's name off the list. And we find out she was the number 1. So we saw number 2 first, then we saw number 1. So then Uma Thurman takes Sophie and loads her up into the trunk. And I thought she was just gonna, like, drive the car into a lake or something and let her drown. But she kept Sophie alive to question her about where everyone else is. Like, the other 2 Vipers that she's wanting to kill, and where Bill is. Because those are the last 3 on her list, of her death list 5. And she also wanted Sophie to tell Bill everything that happened and everything that Uma Thurman was, like, questioning her about. And she said if she didn't tell her all of that, like, if she didn't answer her questions and stuff, then she was just gonna keep cutting limbs off.
I'm like, well, that's one way to get someone to talk. I mean, you have one arm missing.
Yeah, I was like, it's not a false threat because you already cut one arm off. So it's like, she knows you're gonna do that. And so she takes her, and she's there outside this hospital, and she throws her down the little hill, and the hospital people come out and take her in and everything. And then we see her talking to Bill, and she's telling Bill everything. And then Bill is like, well, does she know that her daughter is still alive? Like, did you tell her that? And then that's the end.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of sets it up for volume 2.
Yeah, it's definitely an open-ended movie. And if you really want the plot, go watch number 2. If you don't really care about the plot and are just there for some action, just watch number 1. So, I mean, number 2 is not bad. It's a good movie. I just prefer the first one. So, the music. kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier, is by RZA, and he is known mostly for his work in the Wu-Tang Clan. That is what he is known for, but he also does some acting as well. Some of his acting credits are The Man with the Iron Fist from 2012, American Gangster from 2007, Repo Man from 2010, and Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai from 1999. As far as I know, he did not have an appearance in this movie. I think all he did was the music. His first ever credit, like the first ever thing that like he did the music for, was the Ghost Dog: The Way of the Samurai from 1999. So not only did he star in that one, well, not star, he didn't star, he was in it.
Yeah.
But not only was he in that movie, he also did all the music for that movie. So, yeah, he didn't act at all in this one, he just did the music for this one. But, and then he is currently working on The Rise of the Wu-Tang Clan, which is a movie. So I don't, my guess is he's definitely acting in it and then probably working on the music for it. So I don't know if that's going to be like a reenactment type thing or if they're just going to go, but I don't really know much about Wu-Tang Clan other than they do music.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them. But yeah, he worked on the music for this one, RZA did. And I will say most of the music was fine, and I felt like not only was it reminiscent of the old westerns and the old Japanese movies like Quentin Tarantino was trying to get at, but then there was also some, for the time, modern music that kind of fit pretty well. There was just, you know, the whistling that they did?
Yes.
The whistling was annoying. But I hate it when people whistle. Like, it irritates me. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's so high-pitched.
See, this is why you're not a flute player.
I was going to say, that's part of the reason I hate the piccolo.
Yeah, I know, me too. And I'm a flute player. So yeah. I normally have to play piccolo. Like...
Yeah. But yeah, the whistling was one that got me. And then there was one theme, not the Kill Bill theme, but there was something else that like kept playing over and over. That I was just like, by the third time it played, I was like, okay, I'm done with this one.
Yeah, I will admit some of the music was kind of like, okay, like, not great. Sometimes it was like in the way.
Yeah, it's a little loud at times.
Yes, I would say loud.
But yeah. I mean, for the most part, the music fit really well. There was just those few times when it was just too much. So comparison. Like we said, this is volume 1. There is a second one.
Yes.
Or you could just watch, came out in 2011, Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, and they just put the two movies together.
That works.
So it ends up being 4 hours.
Yeah.
Still.
I was like, because this one is about almost 2, and Kill Bill Volume 2 is over 2 hours.
Yeah, this one is an hour and 50 minutes, and then Kill Bill Volume 2 is 2 hours and...
I think like 17 minutes or something?
Yeah, just under 20. So when you put the two of them together and only have the one set of credits, it makes it 2 hours and just over 2 hours. Or just over 4 hours, sorry.
Yeah.
And there was supposedly supposed to be a third one coming out, but I think they just dropped it and they're like, never mind.
Well, I mean, the second one ended nicely.
Yeah, I think that's why they decided eventually to just do just the two and put them together, because they were originally going to do 3 of them, and then they're like, well, the third one ended in a good spot, so.
Yeah, I mean, because in this one, the second one, you get, like, a lot more of a story.
Yeah.
I mean, you do get to see the other 2 assassins, but she really doesn't kill them. She doesn't kill Al, or she doesn't kill Bud.
Yeah.
Because, Elle actually takes care of Bud for her, and then, she kind of, the fun part about her battle between Elle and the bride is, I cracked up at this part too, I laughed. She pulls out her other eye. That shit made me laugh my ass off. And of course, there's a black mamba in there in the trailer because that's what Eld used to kill Bud.
Yeah.
And then she just stuck in this trailer with a black mamba and she can't see anything.
Yeah.
That shit cracked me up. I was laughing. And like, and you get to see Bill at like, you see Bill like throughout the entire volume too.
Yeah, you actually get to see him instead of just listening to his voice and everything.
And like, yeah, you also get to meet, like, she actually her daughter is alive.
Yeah.
Which is cool. She's cute.
We also we get a little bit more of information from, like, the wedding and stuff. When it wasn't really a wedding, it was the rehearsal. They were like, working on getting married, but then they didn't because they all got killed.
It's like, yeah, because those assassins showed up. Well, Bill showed up at the rehearsal, it's like, because he tracked her down and everything.
Yeah.
And then the assassins show up and there's a big old massacre, so.
Yeah.
But she does get Bill at the end.
Yeah.
With was it the 5-finger punch or something? The 5-point punch. Where if you take 5 steps after you get punched in these 5 certain pressure points, you die because your heart explodes.
Oh yeah, that's right. Something like that.
I just watched it, so I remember.
I watched, like, the first hour yesterday and fell asleep, so I don't remember all of it. Because I was asleep for most of it, because I had to get up at 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I watched it recently, so...
Yeah, you watched it today. So.
I did. I've watched it today. It's what happens when you're stuck home.
Yeah. But yeah, so... The second one it's got more of the plot to it, rather as the first one is a lot more of the action. Which, I mean, some people like the plot more, some people like the action more. Most people like Volume 1 more, but they really go together. It's like one of those you can't really watch the first one without watching the second one. Unless you just really don't care. So.
Yeah. And like, just watch them together, back to back, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's just because it's one continuous story.
Yeah. And this one is... Volume 1 is Tarantino's 4th film. Volume 2 is Tarantino's 5th film.
They're a year apart.
Yeah. So, trivia.
I got it written down, ready to go.
I was like, I don't think I have any for this one, so.
I do. So her yellow suit that she wears is inspired by Bruce Lee's last movie he made, which is Game of Death, which he is wearing one just like it.
Cool.
There was over 450 gallons of fake blood used in both movies.
Yeah, it makes sense. They went a little overboard with the blood.
Lots of blood. Lots of blood. It had the budget, of it, 60,000 of it went to swords and sword accessories.
Well, swords are expensive.
I'm
have you ever been to that little shop, that little collectibles shop in the Pueblo Mall? They got those swords.
Yes.
They're like $200 each.
Yes. It's so those swords were not cheap. As part of the budget.
Yeah.
60,000 of it. Again, the joke that it was 6 years with the rotten one, it just took him 6 years to write the script.
Yeah. And this was his baby. Him
and Uma came up with the idea during Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. They let him take control of this. It was all him.
So I think it's just this movie, but it might be both. That there's body count of about 95.
I think it's just this one because she fights a ton of those guys.
Yeah, I believe it's just 95. So. I looked at both trivias for both sets, and it just said for this one.
Yeah, I think
this one cracked me up because it's funny. So the original trailer for this, you see that her clothes are blood-stained, and the MPAA did not like that. And so now they came up with the policy for no blood shown in trailers. Or it has to be changed, color-wise. And so that's why in the trailers you see that it's brownish colored.
Yeah.
But that's funny because that's the color of dried blood.
Yeah.
And so they just change from fresh blood to dried blood.
Yep.
Which cracks me up. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
Really? You're still showing blood?
Yeah, they're like, no fresh blood. We got it. That's all right.
We got it. It's just dried. It's fine. See? Loophole.
Yeah.
I like it. So, that's my trivia.
Okay. I don't think I have any, so we will go on to where it has been on the list before and where it is at right now. So, in 2010, it was number 142. 2012, it was number 152. 2014, number 171. 2016, number 178. 2018, number 172. And then as of today, when we are recording, it is number 174. So it's just kind of chilling in the 70s right now, the 170s. Then previously, number 170 was the 2010 list, The Kid from 1921. The 2012 list, Terminator from 1984. The 2014 list, Mary and Max from 2009. 2016 list, The Sixth Sense from 1999. The 2018 list, The Big Lebowski from 1998. And as of today, when we are recording, Finding Nemo from 2003.
I was like, Nemo's coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah, we got Nemo coming up pretty soon. We've got quite a few of those, actually. We either have them or they're coming up pretty soon. And I'm pretty excited for quite a few of those movies, so. So, our podcast trivia. Like we said, this is the first Tarantino film that we've had. We will have more. This is the first time on the list we've had Uma Thurman, but we will, we had her before in one of our special episodes, one of my least favorite movies, Batman and Robin, where she was Poison Ivy. Yes. And I will admit, she's a great Poison Ivy. Like, I loved her. It's just the rest of the movie. This is the first time we've had RZA as our composer. So this is our second movie that we had from 2003. The first one we had was Memories of Murder, which if you don't remember that one, that's the same director from Parasite, which won Best Picture this year.
I was like, I like Memories of Murder.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but I like Parasite more.
Oh, hell yeah. But of course, he's grown as a director since then.
Yeah, that is very true. But Memories of Murder was good. I think I gave it like a 7 or an 8 or something like that. Let's see. So, votes. This is our third highest in amount of votes. It's right around 950,000. Just above it, at 955,000, right around there, is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. And then our top movie still at the moment is Shutter Island. So, it's pretty high up there, because the next one under it has around 835,000 votes, and that's The Truman Show. So it's got over 100,000 more than the next movie below it.
Wow.
So, it's pretty high up there. It'll be our top 3 for a while. So, Rotten Tomatoes, this had an 85%. That's right there with Gandhi, Infinity War, Princess and the Frog, and Hacksaw Ridge. So, it's right there with movies that we enjoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Because we liked all of those movies. So, and then Metacritic, it had a 69%, which also the only other movie that we had that has had a 69% on Metacritic was Batman, when we did that for our superhero event. So, 69%, those are some good movies there. Since how one of them is one of my absolute favorite movies.
Well, yeah.
Because it's a Batman movie.
Batman!
But yeah, so that's all of our podcast trivia. We will have quite a few of these people from this movie again, because we'll have Uma Thurman again, we'll have Quentin Tarantino again, so we'll get to see some more of their chops and later on the list. So, favorite line.
I got 3.
Okay, I think I have 3 or 4.
All right. I'll go. When do you want to die? The limbs one, of course. Leave the limbs you lost. They belong to me now.
Yeah.
And revenge is never a straight line.
Yeah.
Those are my 3.
Okay. I think I didn't have any of those, but I had 3 as well. So the ones I had, I'm not going to murder you in front of your child. It's like, that's nice of you.
That is nice.
Dying in our sleep is a luxury our kind are rarely afforded. The last one I had, you may not be able to fight like a samurai, but at least you can, but you can at least die like a samurai. Those are the ones I had.
It's pretty good ones.
So what do you think? Which one's your favorite of the ones you wrote down?
The ones I wrote down, I like all of them. The ones I wrote down?
Or you can pick your favorite of the ones I wrote, and then I'll pick my favorite of the ones you wrote, and we could decide between the 2.
I'll go with yours. The one I liked of yours. The dying one, the second one you said.
Oh, the dying in our sleep is a luxury our kind is rarely afforded.
Yeah, I like that one of yours.
Okay, and then what was your second one again?
That was the leave the limbs.
Alright, what was your third one then?
Revenge is never a straight line.
Okay, that one is my favorite one of yours.
Okay, so which one of the 2 then? Because I'm game with either one.
Yeah, I'm good with either one as well. What was the last movie we did? I think we picked your line last time. Yeah, we did. Because it was Tokyo Story, and I was just like...
Yeah, so you can pick yours. I'm good with that.
Okay, so we'll go with dying in our sleep is a luxury our kind is rarely afforded. So what is your reading?
I'm giving this a 7.
Okay.
I am. Again, I just thought it was playing too much on being like the hokey kung fu movies thing.
Yeah.
It was just a little too much for me. I like kung fu movies, but like not that much in my face about it. And again, action films aren't always my favorite thing, but this one was alright with it. Not too crazy much about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7.
Okay. I was trying to decide between a 7 and an 8, but I was just like, for me, being able to just like turn my brain off and enjoy some crazy action and just some really good choreographed action. Like, I really like it when the choreography for movies like this, when it's done really well. So, I gave it an 8 because I was like right there between, and I was like, you know what? I think this is worth an 8. It's not going to be like when we do our ratings, it's not going to be a super high 8, but it will be one of my 8s. So, but yeah, I did enjoy this one. It was fun. Just my couple little complaints with, it was, like you said, it's a little bit hokey. And then also, some of the music sometimes was just a little bit in the way.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean, that fight scene at the end, it's classic and it's so good. It's so well done. So, that's all I got for that. Our next film is Cool Hand Luke from 1967. We will be seeing one of our actors that we've had previously from Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. We will have Paul Newman back.
Like, it's a classic film.
Yeah.
It is.
And I'm just about 120 pages through the book, and I'm just like, I really hope the movie is better than the book.
Oh,
don't. I'm not enjoying the book so much.
Don't tell me that.
But from the reviews I've read of the book, a lot of people said the movie's way better, so...
I mean, I've seen parts of the movie, so...
I've actually never seen this movie, so...
You might recognize some of the lines.
Oh, I know I'll recognize some of the lines because I've heard them and they're in the book as well. But I'm just like, I'm a little bit nervous because, I don't know, maybe it's the writing style of the book, but I mean, I liked Paul Newman when we had him in Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, so it should be good. But that'll be out next week. And then we do have our event coming up, which is our Disney event. It will be out at the end of April. And the two movies that I picked are Lilo and Stitch from 2002 and Oliver and Company from 1988.
And I picked Mulan from 1998 and The Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1996.
And we thought we would be able to watch the new Mulan before this, but, you know, with the whole craziness in the world shutting down, we don't know. It depends on if they do the digital release like everybody else is doing.
That'd be nice.
I'm hoping they do it and just, like, make people pay for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they will because Disney makes so much money at the movie theaters and they are going to need their money after having shut down all of the Disney worlds.
Yeah. I mean, I know, I think Universal's doing that with Trolls.
Yeah, Trolls is coming out digitally.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything that's already been in the movie theaters is coming out digitally this week.
Yeah.
So, and it's just everything else is being delayed. So I don't know if Mulan, if we'll be able to watch the new one before we record for the original. I'm hoping maybe we will be able to. Maybe they'll release it digitally.
Hoping.
But if not, I mean, it's just how it worked. So
yeah, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah. So yeah, that will be out on the last day of April, which is April 30th. So make sure you listen to those. We'll do each one will be an episode like normal. And that will be your only episodes that week. You won't get a normal episode. But the week before that, you will get Finding Nemo. So technically you get 5 Disney movies in April.
I mean, that's just a win-win.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure you check that out. We are offering premium and Patreon. You can follow the links in the show notes to be able to subscribe to those. You can start out for just $1 a month. Our special monthly episode for premium and Patreon this month was our Razzie predictions, which came out the same day as our Friday the 13th episode. Our next one coming up for April is going to be Attack of the Clones.
Did you hear my sigh?
I already did 2 of my least favorite, don't ever want to watch them again movies, so now it's Jess's turn to do her second one.
It's my turn now. Not looking forward to it.
So make sure you check that out. It will be out on April 29th, so that way you're not bombarded by 5 episodes in one day. You're already getting 4 on the 30th, so we're going to do Attack of the Clones on the 29th. So premium and Patreon people will get that for free. Everyone else, it will be available for just $1. If you can't support us by becoming a patron or premium member, you can always leave us ratings and reviews. Those help us out a ton. Lets us know, like, how we're doing, what you guys like, what you don't like. It also helps other people find the show, which we've had a pretty good uptick lately. Quite a few listens. But I think it's also kind of a sign of the times where everybody's at home with nothing to do. But hey, if that's you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So you can talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All the links to that are in the show notes. You can also email us, which that is in the show notes as well. Our music is by Audiobenger. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobenger.net. So until next week with Cool Hand Luke, thank you so much for listening, and bye.
Bye.